Okie dokie.
Internet sorry now. Finance Committee meeting, September 21st, 5 o'clock, roll call. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Thames. Mr. Higginbotham.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Harden.
Here. Great. We have almost everybody here. So we will go ahead and get started. Yes, sir.
Meredith Drennan was going to give us an update on the chamber tonight, and it's on your agenda. I don't know if she's on Zoom, but if she is,
I'd understood she was going to be here.
I thought she was too, but I was just trying to I told her we could let her go first, but
Meredith, are you on Zoom?
make sure she's on.
I am.
There you go.
Okay. Would you like to go ahead, or would you like to wait 30 minutes?
I would love to start.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and get started then?
Fantastic. Alex, I sent you an update. It was a few weeks back before we finalized the schedule. Did that get out to the group, or do I need to send a follow-up?
You need to send a follow-up, please.
That's great, because I have updates to the
Do we
to the
have
update
the presentation?
Just
no
a kind of a quick overview, some of the things we've been working on over the last few months. We typically try to give you guys updates about quarterly. Just COVID has kind of thrown everything for a loop, and I appreciate your patience, and Alex has been very helpful. Right off the bat with kind of the COVID issues, we jumped into hosting a series of town halls really early on the March 31st and on May 13th, with a number of you were involved, and we really appreciate that. Mayor McBrayer, Dr. Ellen Eaton gave us a number of updates, Kyle Smith, D.D. Piazza, and Trey Witt, among others, as well as, Senator Jones's office was really, really helpful for that too. Both of those were incredibly well attended. I appreciate all of your help in putting those together. It was really important, I think, right off the bat to really show both business owners, residents, that we were here, and our elected officials were there for them with a lot of the issues that were going on. Additionally, kind of getting into the Zoom world, we hosted seminars digitally with Provision Studio and Operation Hope in regions. Those were in April. And we did a number of other seminars with some of our regional partners like the Birmingham Business Alliance. We did one with Doug Jones on April 20th. We did one with the Chamber of Commerce Association of Alabama on the 28th of April in the Small Business Development Center. We had a series of those in March and April, as well as Congressman Gary Palmer. And on top of that, we did some networking events as well, digitally throughout April and starting into May. Just to give a kind of an update on some of our shopping events, which I know are really, really important to our community fabric. Hop and Shop, we went digitally and did a digital Easter egg hunt and a photo contest downtown. Start right off the bat with kind of our first digital event. We had over 4,000 user reach and 187 engagements on that event, which was really, I felt like it went well, good considering we were pivoting really quickly. One of our big events, our annual educational Excellence in Education Awards, had to go a little bit differently this year. We did a caravan instead, delivering yard signs to our students that won in each district. That was on the 22nd, and we've started digital luncheons recently. Just last month, we kind of kicked off our digital luncheons with Ian Cooley from Spire, talking about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And just a few weeks ago, we had one with Senator Jabba Wagner and Representative David Faulkner, gave us our annual legislative update. Some of the other things we did digitally, just kind of over the last few months to help with COVID and then the pandemic, we created a printed resource guide on our blog and added a blog series, 5 questions to educate our employees and our businesses on areas related to COVID. We had accountants and lawyers and financial advisors, and even doctors have been featured. We had created a hashtag campaign really kind of the week we went into shutdown with Takeout Homewood, Curbside Homewood, and Online Homewood to help everyone kind of create a quick resource guide onto what was open, what was available. We've obviously kind of moved a little bit past that, thankfully, but right off the bat, we really tried to jump into helping our small businesses. During the last week of May, we spearheaded the mask campaign before the mask ordinances went into effect, helping shoppers feel safe shopping in Homewood. And those, the impressions we got on the mask campaign were really impressive. We had a reach of kind of ranging from 500 to over 8,000 and had over 1,061 engagements. On something that we hadn't been, utilizing any outside help to push engagements. We were really, really impressed with some of those engagements on those mass campaign posts. We've been working with everyone as guidelines and orders, et cetera, even the curfews that kind of went into effect to help kind of promote and communicate what was going on in the business community. And we had a nonprofit takeover week last month highlighting all of our nonprofits right now, which I think are feeling a lot of the effects of the pandemic. One of the things I really wanted to let you know about coming up is we've got a number of events in our Christmas campaign, which really is I think the highlight of our year. We do have one of our first in-person ribbon cuttings next week on October 1st for Arc Realty over downtown. We have another virtual luncheon on October 20th. A lot of you guys know that our annual golf tournament's been canceled this year. Taste of Homewood was postponed, and it looks like we're going to have to move that into 2021 just with making sure we utilize social distancing and the guidelines we have for events right now, and really are looking to make sure we can bring that back next year. But just as ordinances stand, we need to postpone for right now. But the holiday shopping campaign is really what we're looking forward to. We really hope that this will bring us up to speed to get all of our businesses back up, and make sure our Black Friday is maybe happening sooner than ever. We are shifting Holiday Open House to a week-long event. We'll be having some artistic performances of the curve, really trying to lengthen the time that people are really celebrating kind of that first week of the holidays. We want to start the Christmas season earlier than ever. That'll be going on November 5th through the 11th. We'll be utilizing our digital marketing as well. We're going to pad that a little bit this year to make sure that not just people in Homewood are shopping in Homewood, that people across the region are really thinking about Homewood first when it comes to holiday shopping. We're still waiting to find out about the parade and the star lighting, how that is going to go into effect. We've already had a lot of brainstorming sessions with both Parks and Rec staff, but also internally with how we could either shift or potentially do virtual events for either of those. So stay tuned on that side. But we'll continue with we'll be doing some television advertisements and print advertisements. And something new and fun we're going to do is 12 Days of Christmas Facebook Live event. So ultimately becoming virtual shoppers for folks that maybe don't know or don't feel comfortable shopping, really going into our stores and our businesses and showing some of their holiday wares. So we've got a lot planned. We're really trying to pivot this year for Christmas and make sure that our businesses do the best that they can. I'll make sure that some of this information gets sent to you digitally. I'll get that to Melody. And if you have any questions, please let me know. We're really working hard to think a little bit differently and outside the box this year.
Wonderful. And to be clear, this was 150920, a district report from Ms. Drennan on Chamber of Commerce activities. Any questions, comments on the report? Okay, I think just a motion to accept the report would be in order.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Harden, second by Mr. Higginbotham. All right, any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. That passes 4-0. Okay, and we have Mr. Morgan here, so we're going to start back up at the top. 140720, request authorize mayor to sign a contract with Capital ATMs to install and service ATM at no cost to the city. Mr. Burgett, do you have a report on this?
I do, sir. John and myself were on the phone today and tried to get to the final resolution of this. We've looked at several companies. We would like to recommend that we go with Urban ATM. That's a Homewood resident that has this company. And of course, we have a contract. We just got it 30 minutes ago, so I have not given it to Mr. Kendrick to review. So anything we say would, of course, be pending his review of the contract. But this company will provide an ATM at our police station, either in the court or in the main lobby of the building. In the court, it's going to be limited access. In the main lobby, it will have more access, it'll get more use. No cost to the city. There is a transaction fee for the user of $3. And the city, and this is a part I don't know if we can do this or not, but he will be paying to the city a portion of the transaction fee if Mr. Kendrick says that we can do that. I don't know if that's acceptable or not, but, okay. But
We like
no
that
cost
answer.
to the city, actually might be a small revenue source to the city. Based on what we were talking about today with the fees that this having being paid to process credit cards, it will be quite a savings to the individuals that use this. Because I think right now there's a $4.99 processing fee up to $100, and it's 4.5% after that. This is a flat $3 fee. Wow. So, but this would like to recommend Urban ATM pending Mr. Kendrick's approval in the contract. It does have an out clause for the city. We can cancel the agreement with 30-day notice if we're dissatisfied with the services. But it's very straightforward.
Okay, and everyone on finance was copied. I have a copy of the agreement here if anyone would like to review it. Mr. Morgan, is that your recommendation as well? Yes, sir. Okay.
And I just want to make sure everybody feels like they're competent and can do the job. It's not a very hard job, but they're new. They weren't who we were talking to before. They kind of came in.
They were like the third vendor we've talked to on this. We have several other proposals here.
Okay.
I know that Melody made some inquiries as to the individual, got very good rapport.
Okay.
He's on one of our
He's on the abatement board.
abatement board. Okay, I was he's on one of the boards in
Okay.
the city, and he is a city resident.
He's got a vested interest making sure it works well.
Yes,
And there was a cost to the city with the original proposal, so
remember that.
there's no cost to
yeah,
the
these other
city.
proposals that we have here, like it starts out at, the first $150 we have to pay, you have to pay an installation fee. And so I think this agreement is beneficial for the city and for the people that need to use it compared to paying the processing fee of a credit card.
Okay, Mr. Higginbotham.
Yeah, I did see the email come in. I apologize. I have a very difficult time getting through stuff when I get it on the day I'm supposed to vote on it. But, and I think you may have just answered this question in passing, but I want to make sure that I understood it correctly. So the Urban ATM, they have ATMs other places. We checked into what their experience had been at the other places, or?
I have not personally, but yes, it was checked into by the city clerk's office.
Okay, and they felt comfortable that there were no issues with the other locations. About how many other locations do they have?
I did not know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
I didn't ask that. I did talk with him on the phone at length today. We got John, we had a conference call, but I did not specifically ask where he has any other machines or how many that he has. So I did not do that.
Okay.
But no, we did check that he is on boards in the city, very well respected in that regard, so.
Sure, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Wright.
And, Robert, and they'll handle all installation, right?
Yes, sir. The only thing that, and this is strictly Mr. Morgan and the police department, where the build-out was in the new police building for the machine is only accessible when the court is open. Mr. Morgan had inquired about potentially putting the machine in a different location where it could be accessed by anyone when the police building was open. I talked with Mr. Yates about dropping an internet line in, and he said that sheetrock wall, yes, concrete wall, no. And then we spoke again with Urban ATM, and he said if we provide him an internet line, he would love it. If not, he can mobile access his machine. So that's not an issue. But yes, it does include installation.
And where would be the alternative location? I'm just wondering. Have we thought about where that might be?
John, were you?
In the police lobby, right now, the only time the court lobby is open is when the court is in session.
Right.
Excuse me. So we would put it in the 24-hour police lobby, it would be used for court records, and the police records, and the court records as well.
Okay.
It would be accessible to more people, make the city a little bit more money, I believe, as well. So
I just want to put it in somewhere that it's not going to be the first thing you see when you walk in the nice new lobby.
definitely don't want to see make it look like.
Big ATM. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and then Robert, go over what they would be paying us. It's $1 if it's from 100 to 250, and if it's over 250, it's $1.50 that they would share. If it's under 100, it's
Yes, sir.
75 cents. It's on page 2, I
Yeah,
believe.
the transaction costs are, at 100 transactions, the city would receive 75 cents per transaction. From 101 to 249, the city would receive $1 per transaction. And over 250 transactions per month, the city would receive $1.50.
Okay, I
Now,
just wanted to
John,
be clear with that.
John had stated that, that he has between 30 and 60 people appear for court on a nightly basis, 2 times a week. So we, just, if we took an average of 45, that's 90 a week, that's 360 a month. So, even if it's just court, you're going to get the 100 transactions, we think. And if you put it in a more public area, you'll exceed that 100 easily.
Okay, and Chief Ross didn't have any issues with this, did he?
I haven't spoken with him about the police lobby yet, but I will speak with him before we even make any.
Okay, okay. So,
And this.
yes, sir, Mr.
And
Higginbotham.
this is a 5-year agreement, is that correct?
3 year. It may say 5, I asked him.
Yeah,
to-
that was the
Yeah,
original.
that was in the
Yeah, it's
email
3.
that Melody said that it still said 5, but they had already told him we could
Yeah,
only do
it
3 years.
it was originally 3, and we discussed today.
It's a
that
3-year agreement, and if we don't terminate at the end of the 3 years, it automatically renews for another 36 months, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we have an out clause that says if he doesn't perform to the satisfaction, 30-day notice.
With 1-day notice, it says.
No, that's his 1-day notice if he feels the machine is not safe in
Oh,
its
that's
current
right,
location.
that's right.
Hopefully, it will be safe in the police station, but
Yeah, I would.
I did enjoy that one.
I'm hoping nobody gets mad when they come to see you, Mr. Morgan, and the judges.
They do definitely get mad. I don't know if they'll drag an ATM.
And by the way, we took, the tour of your facility was just beautiful the other day.
Thank you guys. That's-
Wow, I mean,
So what came from and what we're in now is.
Mr. Wyatt even said he's been in a lot of courtrooms around the state.
Not many that nice.
No, exactly. So anyway, thank
was
you.
this in his capacity as an attorney, or?
Well, I didn't want to go there. He's been in a lot of them though, but yeah, yes.
Right.
You said as a civil person and a criminal?
Civil and criminal. He's had experience in both.
Okay, good.
One is an attorney and one is.
Okay, wonderful.
Opinion in both.
Okay, we digress. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee? I'm certainly open to carrying it over if you want to, or we
I
can
would-
proceed.
I would move to approve the contract pending Mr. Kendrick's review.
Okay.
Second that.
I just perused it, and I don't see any issues with it.
Mr.
Yeah.
It's 3 pages in there. so.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with moving forward tonight. I would love it if I could get answers to my questions before we
Okay.
vote on it at council. Mr. Burgett, if that's possible.
I absolutely would.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, okay, so it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Harden, I'm sorry. Moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. Harden. And we will we'll definitely get those questions answered before next week. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 4-0, that passes. So thank you, Mr. Morgan. Okay. 220820, presentation of mayor's fiscal year 2021 budget. We're in the thick of it right now. We're in the really fun part. So we'll carry that over as we're in the middle of budget hearings. 230820, request to consider updates on West Oxmoor lane widening. And Mr. Squires, can you come up and Mr. Pugh?
Robert's got some information on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Pugh and I have been having fun with this one for a while, but I think I got good information for us. Mr. Pugh had originally sent a letter asking for the extension, and they sent a letter back to him modifying his letter and the terminology and the dates and everything. And so we really wanted to get to the bottom of what they were requesting. They said that they would extend the funding to March 30th of '21. Well, that's, 6 months. And it says to authorize the right-of-way. Well, when I spoke with Doug Peterson with Gonzalez Strength, he said that that is for the environmental documents. All that date is environmental documents, and he has already filed the environmental documents, and they're waiting to be approved. So once AlDOT approves the environmental documents, the clock starts all over again for the funding of the project. And when we had previous meetings, we had asked him about pushing the project out to 22-23. He said he could do that. He would only ask for $10,000 of funding for engineering design work next year. And I kind of got in depth with him as far as the discussion and timelines. There's a lot of work to be done by a right-of-way agent before we ever acquire any right-of-way. And he said if you wanted to get ahead of the project and be ready to start acquiring right-of-way in 22-23, he said you could budget $200,000 for right-of-way acquisition for a right-of-way agent. We'll have all the paperwork ready. So when we get into the next fiscal year. So we have options. We can fund it at $10,000 and entirely push it out to 22-23. We can fund the $10,000 for engineering design and the $200,000 for the right-of-way agent to begin the appraisals and the assessments and the paperwork and be prepared to purchase right-of-way in 22-23. He gave us an approximate figure of $897,000 for right-of-way acquisition, and that $200,000 is part of that number. So we do have options if we need to push it out, or if we need to go ahead and put the $200,000 in for a right-of-way agent in this year. And that is 80-20 match, so we'll have $160,000 coming back to us.
So that would ultimately be a $40,000 budget. We'd have 200, and then we'd have offsetting 80% in the grants fund. So let's talk about that. We've been talking about it that was beautiful, Berkeley. Thank you for all the information. So,
Anytime.
okay, so it's really, okay, so where we are, just so you know, currently in the budget on tab 9, trusty tab 9, we have $300,000 budgeted, but we did not get the grants fund.
We did not, let's grants me correct.
Okay.
That was left in there, Mr. Higginbotham had requested that for the current year budget, and we left it in the budget to be discussed, and we did not budget grant revenue.
Okay, so with the focus on the diverging diamond, and we've worked through that, that is a major priority of the city, obviously. But so it seems to me, so you're looking at two recommendations, one being that we just budget $10,000 for engineering design work. The second option would be to budget that plus budget $200,000 for the right-of-way agent, and with the 80-20 match on that.
Correct, yes, sir.
Can I ask a question, Robert?
Yes, sir.
let's pretend we move forward on that right-of-way agent, and the project still gets pushed to 2023, and with the way things go, it might be 2024. When do we get reimbursed for that 80% of that?
We will get reimbursed as we receive invoices and pay invoices. When we have canceled checks, Mr. Pugh submits them to AlDOT, and
Okay.
they're usually back in 2 weeks,
So
2-3 weeks.
it's not, they're not waiting on that project gets started and they'll fund us all at one time?
No.
Spend as it goes.
Okay,
It'll be, reimbursement will be funded as we submit the checks.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That was,
Is that all? Okay, Mr. Higginbotham.
Mr. Chairman, we've been kicking this can down the road a very, very long time. I would love to see us go ahead with the option of the agent plus the $10,000, especially with an 80-20 match. I think we need to do everything in our power to be ready to roll when the state says we can. But, I mean, we've been talking about this project, I'm sorry, was it 2004?
04.
2004.
Yeah, but AlDOT put us on
Well,
put it on
I mean,
hold for a while.
AlDOT has certainly not sped up the process. I will grant you that. I will grant you that, but I think that we need to do everything we can on our end to be ready to move on this project when the time is ripe. 16 years is a long time to wait to get something done, and if we can get ahead of the game by having all the right-of-way acquired, I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to be working on that process. That's why I put the money in last year, was because they acted like we might be able to move forward, and I was like, let's get the right-of-way acquired, so we'll be ready to roll, and my mind has not changed a bit about that.
so.
This is just one man's opinion, but especially given the 80-20 match, I mean, we're not talking about a significant investment on this right-of-way agent in light of the 80-20 match. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth as just one person.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
We're going to hire a right-of-way agent, they're going to go out and start acquiring right-of-way, because that's their job. So,
They can't acquire the right of way until AlDOT approves it. That's the
So-
problem.
It's just gonna be treasurer.
They're doing just the surveys and the appraisals and the necessary paperwork.
They can't make an offer until AlDOT approves it.
Okay, 'cause
We've been through that dance before.
It'll take upwards of a year, John, on that, because environmental got clear first.
so he's really just going out and doing all the paperwork he's got to do. That's the 200 grand, getting appraisals, getting surveys, understanding what he's done, maybe contacting the property owners. So we're paying him, we're paying the surveyors, we're paying the appraisers. That's all part of this $200,000. Okay.
That's it.
But, those appraisals are no good if we wait 2 years. So I just want to make sure AlDOT's on board that they're going to do this.
Yeah, that's a good question. What happens in typical AlDOT projects when you have the appraiser out there, or the agent, working on that, and then AlDOT delays the project?
Well, if,
18th Street's a great example. We couldn't buy the right of way down there because AlDOT never would approve the fund. So until they approve the authorization to make an offer, you can't offer to purchase right. Other than that, I can't answer the question. So,
Okay.
but I am positive, because we had the same experience on 18th Street. This time last year, they never would commit for the funds, so we couldn't authorize the purchase of right of way. That's why there was no right of way purchase, because AlDOT controls that.
Got it.
And I'm sure that's all about their funding too, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think, sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is too.
Yeah.
And our moving forward with hiring the right-of-way agent and doing the survey wouldn't necessarily move AlDOT faster forward either, I don't guess, because it's all about their funding.
Yeah, because they're still coming from the federal.
Mr. White.
I don't think it necessarily pushes them along any further, but to Mr. Higginbotham's point, it doesn't allow them to slow it down any further either if we're moving forward with it. If we're not moving forward with it, then there's sort of an excuse for it to drop in priority.
Because the one thing that'll change if time goes on is the appraisal, but survey probably won't change any. So spending money on that, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Right.
But if 2 years go by, that appraisal is probably not of very much use.
Mr. Chairman, can I make just one more observation about that?
Sure.
ALDOT is ALDOT. And I think what we have to struggle with on our end is just the simple reality that we can always say, we're not going to do this because ALDOT may push kick the can on down the road. Well, if we wait till 22, 23 to hire the agent, then ALDOT might say 25, 26. So there's always going to be a reason not to do this. At some point, we either have to, I will not share that expression I grew up with, but we have to do something or not do something. And, I mean, we've got a lot of money invested here. We'll have to pay back if we do not move forward with this project. And so I think that the only thing we can do on our end is make a good faith effort to have all our ducks in a row, so that when ALDOT looks at the project, just as Mr. Wyatt said, they can't say, well, you guys aren't even ready.
Right.
We're ready. We're waiting on you. Just give us this high sign and we're off to the races. But we can always come up for excuses not to do this, because there'll always be the possibility of ALDOT delay, but I just don't think we can operate in a reality where we're constantly just counting on ALDOT to delay things. We have to eventually say, well, maybe they're going to actually do the year that they say they're going to do.
We've got 300,000 in the 1920 budget.
Yeah, but we don't have any grants revenue.
But we don't have
Right.
grant revenue, so we need to change that 300. That was a question mark that we had until we got this current information. So those are our two options. So the motion would be, we would need to send to budget hearings and amend that 300 down to 210, and then have the corresponding 80% match
Right.
coming back in grants revenue.
Well, I'll make that motion.
And I will say,
Can I correct, it needs to be 200 right-of-way acquisition, then we have 10,000 design and engineering.
Okay, that was Mr. Harden's motion,
All right,
correct?
I will
Okay.
amend my motion for 200,000 for right-of-way acquisition and 10,000 for Gonzalez Strengths.
For engineering
work
and design.
And design.
Okay. This has been moved by Mr. Harden, seconded by Mrs. Smith, to budget 200 for the right-of-way agent for acquisition, and then $10,000 for engineering design work with the corresponding 80% match coming back in grants revenue. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same sign. 4-0.
Mr. Jones, can I ask a question?
Sure.
All you're doing is budgeting, you're looking for the, from this, because we don't have to do that.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. 240820, request to make changes to the city's resolution regarding city contributions to retiree insurance and add a monthly stipend to both single and family retiree insurance in order to help city keep their preferred rate. We can send this, we've been talking about this in budget hearings. We can just refer it back to budget hearings to resolve, or we can.
Aren't we talking about employee funding matters tomorrow night? Isn't that-
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
Then I would move to move this item to budget hearings for tomorrow night. For discussion.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham to send to budget hearings for employee matters. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same sign, 4-0, that passes. 260820, request for citywide neighborhood watch program. Mr. McCluskey, this was dropped in your committee, correct? Correct. Okay, so it was discussed and.
Move to drop.
Okay, moved to drop by Mr. Higginbotham, seconded by Mrs. Smith. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, 4-0, that passes. 050920, request to consider paying bonuses to employees if the city completes the fiscal year with a budgeted surplus.
I would also move this item to the discussion of employee funding tomorrow night in budget hearings.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham, and as I'd mentioned we can do everything possible to be very tight with our expenditures here towards the end of the year, that will help us immensely complete the year with a surplus, which we all want to do. So that has been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same sign. That passes 4-0.
Was that sending to budget
Yes.
hearings? Thank you.
Okay, last item, 060920, request to authorize Jetty Trip video stream via Zoom the remaining budget meetings of the Finance Committee and to amend the budget for these services. I added this because, we're meeting in the other room and now we're here and we're on Zoom, and so there was additional expenditures. I got this. 5 meetings would be $3,250 would be the additional expenditure. And where would this, Robert, where would you recommend that we take?
0111 contractual services.
Contractual services. Okay.
I would move to allocate up to, what do you want to say,
3250.
okay. 3250 from contractual services for the Zoom budget hearings.
Moved by Mrs. Smith, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same sign. 4-0, that passes. Is there any other item? Okay, then we're adjourned.